My friend, Lisa, and I were going through her family photos recently when we came across this one. Nothing struck me as odd about it at first glance, but Lisa had a look on her face that put me on edge. Her eyes widened when they started darting around the living room, as if she was listening for something, before fixing them on the TV across from us. Naturally worried by her adverse reaction, I asked her what was the matter. After a few moments, she recomposed herself and said that normally, as a kid, she would talk to the TV when it was off or on static. Her parents thought she had a strong imagination and didn't think anything of it when she said she had a new best friend to play with. In fact, Lisa herself hadn't given it much thought until now. I asked her what the problem was. She smirked, gave a nervous laugh and looked back to the television in the room, unable to stop staring at it. It was at this point I took a second glance at the photo and saw what was in the TV. It was around 3 a.m. this June. I was on Skype with this cute girl I encountered on a forum a month ago. We were discussing about strange things that happened to me recently. Doors shutting, lamps turning on and off, even objects falling from furniture. She was talking about a ghost or a poltergeist who may have fun with this kind of stuff. But even though I felt paranoid, being paralyzed by the slightest noise, I couldn't believe in these stories. Well, that's what I've told myself all along. Something I knew I could regret sooner or later. I was in the dark, and I felt a little uncomfortable after our long debate on the subject. I decided it was time to refresh myself. I got up and entered my bathroom, and then washed my hands to make sure the water wasn't too cold. I stared at my reflection for a moment. After a brief hesitation, I bent over and splashed water all over my face. Then, I felt something unusual, like a slight airflow. I looked behind me. The door was closed. Did I shut the door when I entered the bathroom? I couldn't remember. I took a towel and proceeded to dry my face, unable to see a thing. While doing so, I heard a knock on a glass-like object. At first I thought it was coming from the mirror, but there was nothing except my reflection staring back at me. I put the towel back on the towel holder and opened the door, when I saw something in the corner of my eye and heard a little noise, like something had moved behind me. I quickly looked back at the bathroom. At first I looked at the mirror, but then I noticed the towel was on the floor, right in front of the bath. I was about to pick it up, but as I approached, I felt more and more uncomfortable. I could not stop staring at the shower curtain. Then I heard a second knock, the same than before. But I realized it wasn't coming from the mirror nor the bathroom. I turned around and headed back to my room, letting the towel on the floor. Now, I was almost back to my bed when I felt like something was watching me. I looked through the window, but there was nothing unusual. I took my computer and asked my buddy if she heard the knocks on the glass or if it was her. "Yes, I did hear it," she said. "You still do not believe in poltergeist stuff?" I admitted having doubts about what I told her earlier. She then got up and said, "I'll be right back," and then left the room. She left the door slightly open, which made me uncomfortable for a moment. But then I heard this noise again, a knock on the glass of my window. I felt too paranoid at first and did not dare to take a look. I thought it was my imagination, but it knocked a second time. I looked up from my screen, only to find something was standing still behind my window, staring, grinning. I almost felt like it was laughing at me. My monitor being the only light source in the room, I could hardly see its face, but its smile petrified me for a moment. After a few seconds, I heard a door open and footsteps. I could barely catch my breath when I heard, "Hey, I'm back." I looked back at the screen and understood it was only my buddy that had got back on the computer. I told her I had to show her the thing that was staring at me, but it had faded away before I could rotate my webcam. "Did it really scare you?" she said. "I thought you didn't believe in these things." Her reaction made me curious. Why was she so excited about this? I was so lost in my reflection that I thought I imagined what she said next. "Boo," said the ghost, and he disappeared. Before I could even react, the screen went black for a moment. It soon got back to normal, but something was on the screen. It wasn't the excited girl's face anymore. I saw a man sitting on his bed, facing the computer. In fact, the scene was very similar until I recognized it. It was my bedroom. On the verge of panic, I was still able to notice something odd. The angle from which the image was taken of my bedroom. It was as if something was right outside of my window, filming that exact moment. I looked through the window for a second before turning around to face my screen again. The delay let me see myself stare back at me through the webcam. The screen went back to the girl I've been talking to for the past month. Except this time, she was in near pitch black. She got closer to the camera and didn't do much for a few seconds. Still frightened from what had just happened, I didn't move, waiting for her to say something. But she remained silent. I didn't understand what was happening. I didn't understand until she started grinning. The movie theatre can act as a great memory for both children and adults. From going on the typical dinner and a movie date that teens and adults do, to having bright smiles of children shine when a new Disney movie comes out. However, have you ever heard that there are some theatres that have some paranormal activity type of stuff happen when everyone is gone? Well, I work at a movie theatre here in Illinois, and overall, I actually like it here. The management is really great, and my co-workers are pretty cool as well. However, when a story goes around, practically everyone will hear about it. Most of it though is just nonsensical rumours such as who was the favourite to the manager, who always comes into the work drunk or high, and the hundreds of threats that there is going to be a huge layoff that's going to happen. Still waiting for that to happen. But there was one story that caught my attention. To keep his identity safe, this guy's name will be Tyler for the remainder of this. Tyler would start a lot of these rumors and stories that went around, and he would be proud of it. Ever since his second story, I knew that it was going to be a lot of rumors and stuff that he made up. This story involved one of our auditoriums, we call them theatres, in which movies are shown. This was the story of Theatre 20. Apparently, in the mid-90s, we had a manager that basically hit rock bottom. He lost his job, his house and family, and basically lost everything. So one night, around 12:30, he went to the closest theatre that had no one in it and committed suicide. How he did it though was really confusing. Apparently he had some rope, I don't know how he got it because we have nothing that needs rope, tied it to the bottom of a chair and jumped off the ledge and hung himself. This really confused me because unless he had this planned, how did he find a stray rope around here? And also, where on the chair did he tie this rope on? Yes, we have seats that are by ledges, but there are very little possibilities that he got a perfect knot on the chair, unless he tied it on an armrest. I thought long and hard about this story. Actually, I kind of believed it at first, but I just brushed it off and just believed that it was just another story that Tyler wanted to go around telling to frighten the rookie employees that we were getting at the time. As time went on, the thought of an apparent suicide that happened in one of our theatres was really fading in my mind, and I was very skeptical about it too. But whenever I would clean that theatre with Tyler, he would make me think about it again. Whenever he and I would be cleaning a theatre, we would take our time and actually have fun at our jobs. But whenever he and I were in Theatre 20, everything would be different. Tyler would not smile or even talk at times, but would keep his head down and try and finish cleaning this theatre as quickly as possible. This made me think, was he truly scared of this theatre? Was he just messing around with me? Or was something following him at that theatre? I didn't know until one night when I realised why he was like that in Theatre 20. It was a Tuesday night in April of 2013 and I was the closing usher, which meant that I wasn't able to leave until the last show ends, which on average is around 12:30 in the morning. So I was practically going to be there all night. My shift started at 6, which meant that I had to clean some theatres at the beginning, which wasn't a big deal because we usually had very little people come into the theatre, so it was a breeze cleaning them. Throughout most of the night, everything was going well. Even going into Theatre 20 was normal too. All of the lights were on and the screen vision music was going on too. So I could tell it was going to be a great and easy shift. It had to have been around 12:15 and I was closing theatres, which means that I have to keep the lights on and do a quick walk through the theatre to make sure no one lost anything and the theatre is closed off for our cleaning crew to come in. I was at Theatre 20 and I turned the lights on and right away, I knew something was off. There was no music, which didn't bother me too much because some theatres have the music work when it feels like it. So I was almost at the top of the theatre, right by the projector when, all of a sudden, there was a click. All of the lights shut off. Yes, all of the lights. The overhead lights, stairway lights, and the lights we had to guide guests back into our lobby. I was a little startled when that happened, but it didn't bother me. I instantly thought that it was just someone having fun with me since, at this time, practically everyone knew about the myth, thanks to Tyler. So again, I just brushed it off and all I had to do was pull out my phone and use the light as a flashlight. I quickly found the stairs to head back down. But what I saw after that, I couldn't believe. When I was heading back downstairs, I saw, out of the corner of my eye, there was something that was on the armrest of the chair. I instantly thought that it was either a popcorn bucket or a soda, so I went over to it. What I saw was a rope. A rope that was attached to the arm of the chair. At this point, I thought that someone was definitely messing around with me. "Whoever this is, you're not funny," I screamed out. I was borderline mad at this point, but that was just the beginning. After I found the rope, all of a sudden, I heard some kind of noise. It wasn't your typical air conditioner or random bang that you would hear. It sounded like something was creaking. I still had my phone and I darted right downstairs and right there in front of me, there was a hanging body. My body turned to jelly. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. The myth was true, and this time, I knew that no one was messing around with me at this point. This is because I would have heard someone running upstairs and all that. I tried to take pictures on my phone, but it didn't work. The light on my phone was right on the body, and I was trying to think of what I could do to show people that this was real. But then, something truly sinister happened. The body lifted its head up and looked right at me. It probably noticed that my light was right on him for a good minute, and he looked right at the light and right at me. And I will always remember that face and this body. It was half bone, half flesh face from decomposing, and its eyes, just two dark circles. I instantly dropped my phone and darted for the other entrance into the theatre. I could barely see, but I saw some light, so I knew that it was close. Before I knew it, I was back in the lobby, and I saw my manager. I tried to talk to him and let him know what happened. I was panicked, so I wasn't able to say proper English. I just murmured out the words, "Theatre 20. He went over there and I couldn't believe it. Everything looked normal. All the lights were on and the body wasn't there. At this point, my manager thought that I was either crazy or hallucinating from lack of sleep that I hadn't had. "You've been working too much. You can go if you want," my manager said. So I went to pick up my phone, clocked out, and I was still really freaked out at what I saw. The next 3 days I could barely function. I was barely sleeping because of the image of that body looking right at me with those blank eyes and that rotting flesh that was on him. I was always on my laptop trying to find answers to this. I found nothing. No news stories, any death reports, nothing. It left me with this question. Why does no one know about this? A man committed suicide, and I have nothing to see if this was provable to anyone. I worked again on that Friday, and I looked like a mess. I probably got about 5 hours sleep in those 3 days because of my nightmares. Tyler noticed me and he knew I wasn't myself. "Dude, you don't look too good," he said. I just played it off, just to show him that there was nothing wrong with me. "You know, I just have a lot of work to do for college. It'll be fine," I said. Before he was about to go somewhere else, I had to ask him. "Hey, Tyler," I yelled out. "What's up?" he said. "Were you here on Tuesday?" and he looked at me and just said, "No, why?" I contemplated on telling him. I thought that he would have for sure thought that I was weird or something. But I decided to tell him. There was some weird stuff that happened here. He came closer to me and he said in a soft voice, "You were the closing usher that night. I knew there was something about you. He saw you, didn't he?" New year, new school. It's nothing really new for me. My family moves a lot. The school itself seems pretty normal, as do all the students and teachers. Or so I thought. You see, there's this one hallway. It's got the library and a few hardly used classrooms in it. That always makes me feel uncomfortable, even before I started hearing the rumours about it. I always try to shake the feeling off and tell myself I'm just being paranoid. Until, of course, one of the most popular rumours ends up being true. There's a girl who you can sometimes see staring out into the hallway from the window on the library's door. No one knows who she is, but there are about as many different theories as there are people in the school. The first time I saw her, I nearly had a heart attack. She's exactly like people describe her. A blonde girl wearing a hoodie with the hood pulled up, shattering her eyes and the whole upper half of her face completely. The lower half of her face suggests an expressionless stare aimed straight at the wall across from her. But I can still feel her eyes burning holes through my skin. A shudder runs through my whole body, and I hurry to my next class. Weeks later, and I've gotten used to seeing her. She's got no effect on me anymore, and I don't even remember she's there most of the time. She also hasn't budged an inch since the first time I've seen her, and I'm convinced she's completely harmless. So now I'm on my way to my next class, and I happen to be passing through the hallway. "Won't you join me?" Hardly anyone ever goes down this hallway unless their next class is in it, so I jump a little and turn around, hoping to see who it is. No one's there except the girl in the window, so I shake it off as my imagination and continue walking. I'm so lonely. I turn around again. Still, no one. Only now the girl in the window's lips are twisted into a toothy smile. I feel the hair on the back of my neck stand up, but I try to continue to my next class. "Where are you going?" The voice is beginning to sound slightly annoyed with me. I walk up to the library door and look the girl in the window dead into where I think her eyes are. "What do you want?" I demand, slamming the side of my fist against the window. "It's lonely in here. Won't you join me?" Just then, I hear the teacher's voice behind me. "Get to your next class." I spin around and glare at the teacher for a second before I start walking down the hallway. He heads back to his classroom and I creep back to the library window. She's still there, still smiling. "Come on," she says. "We can be friends." "I'd rather die," I snap, regretting it instantly because she could probably arrange that. "No, you wouldn't." Her voice has become almost a growl. She raises her hand to the window and I'm surprised to see them actually go through it and grab my wrist. "Come here! Join me! Join me!" With every sentence, she jerks my arm towards her, pulling harder each time. "Join me! Join me!" Her hood falls back, revealing black hollow eyes where her eyes ought to be. I let out a scream and pull against her as hard as I can. "Stop fighting!" At this point, she sounds almost like a dying cat, and her voice only becomes more horrified as she repeats her words. "Come on, quit fighting!" I continue screaming and pulling myself away with all my strength, but everything goes black before I can break free. When the darkness fades, I find myself standing in the library, looking out the window at the hallway. I can't seem to leave my spot, and I have little desire to for some reason. Over the next few hours, a handful of kids make their way past the library. None seem to notice me, except one blonde girl with dark eyes, who stops and looks at me. Her lips curl up into a twisted smile.